Good afternoon and welcome to the second, I guess we can call it annual Father's Day special in partnership with Bermuda and So Amazing Life Today. My name is Dr. Ty Douglas, your border crossing brother, and I am excited to be with you today. I know Father's Day is tomorrow, but we're just excited to get it started right now. So I want to say it up front. Happy Father's Day to every single father, every father figure who is out there, who's watching. Thank you for watching this broadcast. We're so excited for you to be with us. I want to especially thank our dear colleague, Pat Burchell at Burn News. She's always behind the scenes quiet, but you need to know that there are amazing people who make this happen. I also want to acknowledge our production team on our side, Paul, the Shield Productions. Thank you so much. We celebrate you. We value you. We also want to let you know that we're praying for you and your family as you've helped us to prepare for this broadcast, even as you've also recently lost your father, Gary DeShield. To the DeShield family, you have our condolences and know that his legacy continues even through this broadcast. I am excited to be with you today. We have an amazing program for you. And I'm not saying that because I helped to make it happen, but I'm particularly excited because there's a lot happening in our world. In fact, I also want to say happy Juneteenth. To those of you who don't know, you should know that Juneteenth is actually today. And I'm going to tell you a bit more about that when we get a second. I'm going to bring my dad in, and I want to just make sure that he can be in the broadcast. He's somewhere out there in internet land. Let's see if we can bring him in. Stan Douglas, Stan the man. Where you at, Dad? What's going on, man?
Hey, Dr. Ty, or should I say, son, how are you?
Dad, what's going on, man? I'm so honored to be able to just hang out with you.
Yes.
See you. Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you. I'm just honored to be able to, just be in the same space with you and to even have this opportunity for this broadcast to happen. How are you doing today, first of all? How are you?
I'm actually living gratefully. Life is beautiful, son. Sometimes it's not what you're looking at, it's how you look at it.
Come on.
Okay?
All right.
It's not what you're looking at, it's how you look at it. And if
all right,
you're here, it means you have an opportunity to make a difference, firstly in your own life, and then in someone else's.
I love it.
Let's journey together.
That's good. I love it.
We haven't been together in person on Father's Day for a while because you are married and a father. So let me first say happy Father's Day to my son. I'm so proud of your journey, fatherhood, and how some of the things that we did together, I see you doing it with your sons. And it makes me feel like your title, if you've seen the fruit, respect the root.
Come on.
I feel like I've made a difference somehow in your journey, and now I see it in my grandson's journey, and that makes me very, very proud. I was thinking today, though, son, about some of the people that it was in my journey. First of all, I'd like to honor my father, Eric Eugene Douglas, who in my youth did some of the things that we did. He always found a way to be with me on a weekend, get on the back of his bike and go somewhere. And I always remember us at Cup Match, swinging on that bike early in the morning, your mother saying, "Where are you two going at 7:30? Well, we had to see the first ball.
Come on.
It was important to us.
Yeah.
Then I have an uncle of mine who loved me in the summers, and he was Earl Based Senior.
Come on.
Right? And these fellas are gone, but every time I think about fatherhood, they were instrumental in the formation of what I thought a father should be. And then I had my stepfather, Bernard Jackson. And what Bernard Jackson showed me was how he loved on my mother and asked me as a young man, no matter what, respect her. No matter what my goals were in life, respect the woman that brought me into the world. So I give honor to those three men today because they made a difference in my life. And then when you came, I tried to be better.
Come on.
And I talk to you about that all the time. I think that's the journey for man, is to find out what you think is good, but then you try to be better. And that's fatherhood to me.
I love it. Yeah, that's good. You set us up. You gave us a little. It's funny because you said something about I'm glad to be here. You gave them the British. I don't know if that was the Bermuda how we do, right?
Yeah, how we do
But
it, you know.
I think it connects the diaspora. So I'm going to need somebody who's watching. You got family over on the other side of the pond. I'm going to need you to send this message or forward this on, retweet this. I need you to push this out. I need you to push it out on WhatsApp. You know how like folks spread bad news? I need your help to spread some good news. We're about to have a wonderful conversation. And one of the things I love as well is that, this conversation and just this season in life is connecting dots across the diaspora. So I want to make sure we mention Juneteenth, but I just want to read something really quickly. I hope it inspires you to go and do your own research on what Juneteenth is. I'm reading from a New York Times article, and it says that on June 19th, 1865, about 2 months after the Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered in Virginia, Gordon Granger, a Union general, arrived in Galveston, Texas, to inform enslaved African Americans of their freedom and that the Civil War had ended. General Granger's announcement put into effect the Emancipation Proclamation, which had been issued more than 2.5 years earlier on January 1st, 1863, by President Abraham Lincoln. The holiday received its name by combining June and 19. The day is also sometimes called Juneteenth, Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, or Independence Day or Emancipation Day. And I think that's important. I feel that connection. I'm a teacher first, you know that there. And when I think about even our own cup match that you mentioned, we know that the first day of cup match is what? What is it called?
Emancipation Day.
So even as President Biden has just signed into effect, Juneteenth as a federal holiday in the United States, I hope that even this day will help us to think about the diasporic connections between the liberation experience and the freedom movements, in particular for Black people. And I hope that it will inspire us wherever you are across the globe, for you to think critically about just the connections between our human family and the collective uplift that I believe that we're all a part of. So happy Juneteenth, happy Father's Day. I want to also acknowledge last year we had two amazing panelists who joined us. My dear friend, recording artist, Dewan Starling. I'm hoping that he's watching again this year. We celebrate you. Happy Father's Day, my friend. And my dear friend, Dwayne Akins. And I want to give him a shout out because this whole theme for this year of the fruit and the root, I believe I heard that probably from him somewhere along the line. He talks about that. We often look at the fruit, right? But we don't always reflect on the root. And today I'm excited to be able to help us to think about as a community the value of not just the fruit, but the root. I want to share a short video that was sent in to us from a Douglas man. And again, you need to send this out. We got some surprises coming for you. I promise you. We got some former professional athletes. I don't want to give it all away, but I just want to say we got some cup match heroes that are about to be in this broadcast. I need you to put this on. I need somebody that's out on the water fishing to be able to watch this broadcast today. I want someone that's, wherever you are, Jamaica, come on, South Africa. I want you to pass this thing around. But we want to celebrate for a second a son who is honoring his dad on Father's Day, Stephen Douglas Jr. Can we pull up that video and celebrate the Douglas man for a second?
If you ask anybody about a Douglas man, they'll tell you that's a hard-working family man. I want to say happy Father's Day to my father, Stephen Douglas Sr. Thank you for guiding me and the family and teaching us how to start and finish projects. Also, I'd like to thank you for guiding me through work life, personal life, and sports, teaching me how to be a leader and pass it on to others. Now you've seen the fruit, you gotta respect the root.
Yes, sir. If you've seen the fruit, you got to respect the root, Dad. What do you think about that? And he talked about the Douglas man. I just wanted to, I'm honored to carry the name. That Douglas name carries some weight. Talk to us real quick. We're about to get some other folks in the broadcast. What do you think?
What it carries, son, is expectations.
Come on.
I'm a man that I came up with these uncles, man, who had expectations.
Come on.
If you're gonna live, you're going to have to live with some expectations.
I love it.
Sometimes you thought they were a little rough.
Right.
Truth of it is that they wanted us to be better too. They wanted us to be better than them.
Okay. Okay.
And there was no excuse really for their success, and there was no excuse that they were going to hear from us, because
Come
they
on.
knew that they had to work hard to be. They came through a time. We just finished talking about emancipation. They came through a time of all sorts of separation based on the complexion, and
Mm,
opportunity was based on complexion, but they fought through that because they had high expectations. And what I think they were trying to teach us was that your expectations will lead you on to something greater in life.
come on. Come on.
I think that's the first thing I heard him say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That Douglas man. So he's like the next generation from me, but he still got the message,
Yeah.
because that expectations was instilled in all of us, in particular the men. In particular the men.
I love
They,
it.
they sat us aside and said, "Hey, let's go."
Yeah, I love it. I remember getting to sports fields, and if someone, when they heard my last name was a Douglas, they were like, "Man, are you related to Alan? Are you related to Troy? Are you related to Steven?" Like it came with some credibility, right? So shout out to Alan Douglas. That energy behind the stumps. Come on, going and getting that ball. Come on, right? There is something powerful about generations. So we're excited about celebrating generations today. I'm excited to also, in the spirit of cricket, Dad. I want to make sure that we can just get some folks padded up real quick. There's some men out there. They are cup match heroes, Dad, who don't even know that I'm the skipper today. All right, this is my broadcast. All right, and so I'm as the skipper. I need some opening batsmen, Dad. I need some folks that are not afraid of what Adrian King or who are some of the St. George Somerset pace bowlers. You see, I've got my blue on. And we won't talk a whole lot about cup match, whether it's going to happen or not. I hope it somehow still happens. I don't know if Somerset fans are afraid. Somerset teams are afraid of us. But I'm just saying, we're ready. We got our blue one there. And I'm excited because today, you got your blue flag. Come on. Get your blue flag.
I brought my flag out because, I'm a St. George's fan, as you well know, son. And I taught you that you have to be a St. George's fan.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, so I'm saying we want to invite some opening batsmen who may just now being informed that they are part of the broadcast. I knew that they could handle, a short run up. I knew they could handle it, right? And so again, if you're watching on TV land, share this broadcast. We have some exciting gentlemen that are going to join us. In addition, we hope that you will put your shout outs in the chat, right? You've heard my dad and I engage. Maybe there are some men in your life that you would like us to recognize. For example, I want to acknowledge some fathers. I want to acknowledge Brother Kevin Burgess, whose wife sent in a happy Father's Day message to you, sir. She says she wants to say thank you for being a kind and wonderful husband and father to your family. We admire how you continue to exemplify God's grace and compassion despite the loss of their beautiful son, your beautiful son, Kajani. We love you. Brother Kevin Burgess, we celebrate you today, sir. Thank you for watching the broadcast. I also want to give a shout out to some other men as well. Stan Douglas, someone sent you a message. Rhonda Pitt says, you're easy to talk to and always the same. Never see you upset. She also gave a shout out to Olin Smith, her uncle, as well as Jeffrey James and other men in her life. I also want to give a shout out from Michelle Rewan Alves, who says she wants to give a Father's Day greeting to Manuel Alves, her brother Edward Rewan, her godfather Edward Lambert, her spiritual father Bishop Maxwell Neville Smith, as well as Dr. Thomas Llewellyn Tacklin, and her earthly dad, Elder Peter James Henley. Augustus Rewan. That was a strong name there, right? So we say happy Father's Day to you, but to others, if you would like to be the share Father's Day greeting, put in the chat. We'll do our best to include it during the broadcast, but I can't hold it any longer. I've won the toss there. And I remember when we used to go down to St. George's for cup match. I got excited for walking. I don't remember Somerset's first ball as much. Something about St. George's, I just feel something. And my wife is rolling her eyes in the background, but I'm excited because I believe we have two opening batsmen that are in the background and ready to bring them in. Are they in the room? Are they in internet land? Here we go. Come on, put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. Come on. I feel it in my spirit. Say, let's go. Hey, gentlemen, how you doing?
Lovely. Glad to be in on your show this afternoon. This is a total surprise to us.
We set you up. Mr.
Welcome,
Smith.
gentlemen. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I just want to say happy Father's Day, first of all, to you both. I knew that you could handle the pace. I saw you over the years. When Clay Smith came to the wicket, when Randall Smith came to the wicket, I've got to stand up there. You know, you look at me in the eyes. What you want? You can give me your best, right? And I knew that on a short runway, on a short run up, that you gentlemen would be up to the task of being on a show where we're honoring fathers. So I just want to say, on behalf of every single Bermudian and even across the world, your impact is global. I want to say thank you and happy Father's Day to you both. When I thought about fathers, Randall Smith, there was a picture. Courtney and I, we connect. I had the honor of now teaching your daughter, but I thought of you. I thought about when you were a teacher at Delwood Middle School. And I was at Paget Primary, but there was a young man who wasn't quite padded up on your team. And you sent him out with au pairs. You said, listen, man, next time, get your stuff together. You got to ask him, man, this guy, Randall Smith, ain't no joke. But you've always been, what I saw, even when I think about my role now as an associate athletic director at the University of California, Berkeley, I believe that I'm in a position like I am because a man like you model that academics and athletics are connected. You modeled excellence. And I saw an educator. Who I also could celebrate at cup match. So I just want to say on behalf of Bermuda, on behalf of every person that has been impacted by you, similarly, Clay Smith, as a precocious, 16-year-old? I don't remember how old you were the first time you played a cup match. How old were you the first time you played a cup match, sir?
Yeah, you're right, 16 years old.
You know what I'm saying? I remember that. I'm like, this guy, and you walked out there like, I am supposed to be here, right? So when you see me, even in my work, when I help athletes think about belonging, I represent a generation of folks who were impacted by others who came before who knew that you belonged. And so I want to say, sir, thank you. Thank you for what you've done. We honor you today. I want to celebrate your family who also made this happen. And you all should know that in addition to my own admiration, my wife was actually the one that said, not only should you include Randall Smith, but she said, who's this? She said, there's this a video I just saw. Isn't this somehow related to Mr. Smith? And so I'm not doing a great job of describing it. So let me show you the video. I think it would tee it up quite nicely to show you the impact of what your fathering has said to our own family. Let's take a look at the video.
Oh, you all, I have jokes for you. Watch my daughter. She's trying to fly this kite, right? Just trying to pitch it and then grab the string. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Oh my gosh.
Let it out, let it out, let it out, let it out. I'm trying, it's coming down.
Good try, Hills. Good try, Hills.
I did the tricks for you.
Come on. My wife saw that and she was just like, I know that Clay Smith played a cup match, but he obviously got something right with his family as well. Come on, talk to us about that video. Talk to us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Talk to us.
Yeah, it was just, Good Friday, and I try to keep the tradition going. I actually made a kite, but that wasn't the one that was just a little birdie that we had out the back of the yard. And my daughter wanted to try it, and I was like, okay, try and put it up on your end, and she just, that was her attempt of putting it up on her end. That was very unique, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was all a part of, having that family time and enjoying our time together. So that was unique. Dr. Douglas, if I can interject, I want to thank you for coming by West Pembroke a couple of years ago, because one of the things that we both share in common is recognizing the need to empower Bermuda's young men. And actually, right after you came, I had Dante the Lavrock, skipper of Bermuda, Dante Lavrock, come by and talk to the boys. And then I had Delray Rawlins come by. So you're in some esteemed company as we wanted to impact those young men and help them realize the importance of sports in their life, but also academics and lifelong skills. Because as someone who has been known primarily in Bermuda for cricket, to be honest with you, people often say to me, oh, Wendell Smith was the first person who scored 1,000 runs. But you know what?
there's something I haven't shared with people in Bermuda at all, and that is not probably an achievement that I'm most proud of. I think as sportsmen, you know how we're competitive. One of the things I would say I'm most proud of is going away to university, being very intimidated by the daunting tasks of the academics, but being challenged. And someone said, let's see if you can get straight A's in your master's degree. And actually, that's probably something, not probably, is what I would say I'm most proud of. And I try to continue that, instilling in our youngsters, because the world's an oyster for them, and they can do so much now, travel to Canada, England, different parts of Europe, wherever they wish to go to school, and whatever they want to achieve. So, to be honest with you, this was a surprise today. Our daughters told us they were coming down to cook for us and have a nice meal, have lunch, and here it is. We were tuning into your show just for the inspiration, because I know what a great speaker you are. And I'll tell you what, my son's got a friend on TV playing in the World Series of Baseball, and he had to forego this because this was number one, putting our Bermudians first. So congratulations. I see you've moved on to California. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it's going well. Thank you so much. I'm the Associate Athletic Director, inaugural Associate Athletic Director for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging at the University of California, Berkeley. And they call it the first and best, or the number one public university in the world. That's a humbling, accomplishment. When I think about my journey from, Tucker's Nursery to, Pedja Primary to Work Academy to Bermuda College. And then the journey after that, I just want to celebrate Bermuda and celebrate each of you as fathers, as father figures. My journey in sport, even, I feel like I probably didn't fulfill my potential as much as I would. I had goals and visions of playing for St. George's in cup match. But I'm excited because in this season of my life, I'm still scoring centuries. And I think one of these I hope that folks can get inspiration from in this broadcast as fathers, as leaders, is that our best days don't have to be behind us. Just because our careers in sport or whatever are over. And so one of the things I love about you all is that, like, your daughters were like, when I reached out to them, they're like, listen, I know our daddies will be here. If Haley and Courtney say, Daddy, we need you here, our dads will be here. So you all did something right. Like a lot, and let's just be honest, right? Like a lot of people, they had the 5, 6, 7,000 people cheering their names when they hit the big six. But not everybody is always able to put the pieces together as relates to, the family piece. So when you talk about an innings, right? A great innings is not just the big shots, but it's the ones and twos sometimes, right? I saw those ones and twos. Clay Smith, I saw a video of you jumping overboard to get your daughter's fishing line, right? You know what I mean? So I mean, like, God, gentlemen, like, help us to understand a bit more about the root. When I'm talking about, we see the fruit, now respect the root. Now, more than just your legacy, and we're going to talk about Bojangles Smith. We're going to talk about your Uncle Ray, your brother. But what about, like, just the values that you instilled in your family so that 20-something years old, you still post always daddy's little girl, and she's just like goo goo gaga, whatever daddy says it is. Like Courtney, the same way. How did you gentlemen do that? Help us to understand, because there's a young father that's a great cricketer or a great footballer, but in 20 years, he needs to be able to do similarly to you all. Help us to understand what that looks like in your homes.
Well, to be honest with you, our father always showed a lot of pride in what we were doing for St. George's, and he was known around St. George's as someone who accomplished a lot and was very involved. I think he was secretary at one point, he was president, he was groundsman, he was chairman of selectors. And we fell in love with cricket because we live right next to the field, and it was natural that we did. But when it came to fatherhood, he and our mother, they were people who valued their family and took a lot of pride in them. And I can remember when Clay scored a century up at Somerset, his greatest memory is probably his daughter Courtney coming on Haley rather, coming on the field and giving him a big hug out there in front of thousands of people, and I know that must have been special.
Yeah, that was definitely probably the most special moment of cup match ever for me. If I'm honest, Rondo talked a lot about our father when we were younger, and you know, as fathers, you always want more for your children, you know what I mean? And I can recall us, Bandu and I, and my brother Ray especially, we used to play a lot in the backyard. We used to have a little small backyard that the fence ran up against the St. George Cricket Club boundary. And like my brother Randall just said, you know, my daddy was very club orientated, you know, and there were several times where I would be like, Dad, just come have a bill, like come have a bill. Sometimes you just wanted to play with your father, you know, and I remember one time, and here it is, like I was probably about 7 years old. So it took about 40 odd years to do, and it still sticks out in my memory to today. That one time my dad actually did stop and take time out to bowl to me. He billed me on first bowl, and he's like, "See, that's why I don't play with you, because I don't want to mess up your confidence as a youngster." But that memory, believe it or not, that memory stood with me forever and ever. But it showed me like how important it is to spend time and give time to your children, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it without any hesitation, any reservations. You know, I try and spend as much time with my children as possible.
Yeah, and we have a surprise that your family is going to join in maybe a couple of minutes. But I love what you shared. I love what you shared about your children. One of the things that even as we were just preparing for the production, you know, our Burn News team members say, hey, listen, you know, during a particular cup, et cetera, you know, your son, Jante, was also very polite and coming up and saying, thank you for an interview. And he stood out, you know, just by how he engaged, you know, with the media, right? So I know we've celebrated your daughters, but it's also something powerful as relates to your sons. I know Jalen, Mr. Smith, also thinks highly of you. And so, you know, it's something special, you know, for you. And, you know, one of the things that comes to my mind, now, both of you, you know, obviously play cricket at a high level. I'm interested, how did you balance not putting the pressure on your sons to have to play cricket, right? I mean, how did you balance your expectations? Obviously, Jante plays football, but like, how did you navigate helping them to find their lane? Haley sings, you know, Courtney's in social work, you know, like, how did you navigate that and calibrate sort of their gifts, their goals with your own sort of expectations and background?
Well, to be totally frank with you, I never felt that my son had to worry about living in anyone else's footsteps, because, you know, for children, to me, it's about them achieving their own goals and following their own dreams. And my son, he, at one point, to be honest with you, I thought he was going to be far better than both Clay and I. When he was about 7 or 8, I took him up to Paget Primary and I'd throw maybe hundreds of tennis balls at him, and he started hooking and cover driving. And I remember one day I had him in front of the TV and I said, whenever Saywag plays a stroke, I want you to imitate the shot he plays. Would you believe Saywag got a double century, and the poor boy was up in my bedroom for about 2 hours playing every shot in the book. But then I noticed he had eye problem, and after that, he decided to spend a lot of his time playing football. And in later years, he's developed a passion for the water. He has a jet ski and a boat. And you talked about quality time just now with Clay. And my greatest pleasure now, even more than watching cricket or football on TV, which I do a lot of, is spending time fishing with my son. In fact, last week we counted how many fish we caught, and we had 88 different we had 88 fish that we caught, bonitas, conies, hinds, yellowtails. And so that gives me a lot of pleasure, because obviously after a day of cricket, you're worn out. A day of good fishing, we have a freezer full of fillets. So
I love it.
I look forward to this summer spending time fishing with my son.
So can we have a date? Can we make it a date? Next time in Bermuda, I want to take my sons with you. Can we go on the boat and go fishing? Is that possible?
Well, definitely, and I'll tell you what, my son has this spot that we've been to 4 times, and to be totally frank, we started at 10 o'clock, and by 5:45, they were still biting nonstop. So let your son know he'll have a choice of a rod or a headline, okay? And we'll have a Father's Day with our kids. And Mr. Douglas, Stan,
yes, sir.
I'm going to put your son on the spot. He has to catch your dinner for you, see?
Let's go.
Well, with your skills, I believe it will happen.
I love it. I love it. Listen, one more request for me. Listen, I have a desire at some point. I want to give at least a couple of overs to some type of cup match commentary. You know what I'm saying? I went to, you know, as young Russell or whomever is walking past the umpire, he's rubbed the ball in his flannels and he's running in now, right on over the wicket. It's a cricket delivery, and Smith is driving and driving well. There's no chat. Come on.
You sound like a nephew.
All right. That was my chance to try out.
I'll speak to Ian Rawlinson and the lead commentator, as you probably know, Alan Richardson, to get his permission to have you in this. And guess what? We'll make a trio up there. Well, a foursome, because we can't leave out the man himself, Sluggo Lemrock, because he has a special voice too. So maybe the four of us will make a team.
Shout out to Sluggy, you know what I mean? It's a huge six, right? Shout out to Sluggy out there. Happy Father's Day, Sluggo. Listen, I want to hold up this book. I hope you can see it. You know, this was part of my dream life. You know, as a kid growing up, the dreams I had. In this book, shout out to Lawrence Trott. I mean, I just want to acknowledge the folks in our community who have helped to keep just the culture going. And as you celebrate fathers and men in our community, in this book, it's actually some cool pictures of you, Mr. Smith, Vandal Smith, and you, Clay Smith. But there's also a picture of your dad, Bojangles Smith. And I saw him there, looked like he was teaching tourists about the game at Cup Match. One of the cool things about that, and I want to transition and get your family ready to come in, is that I remember being at a Cup Match up at Somerset and seeing your brother, Ray Smith, Uncle Ray, and he actually was teaching the game to the corner that we were in. And so it was powerful to see in this book this image of your dad doing it maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. So when we think about the fruit of you all, I mean, there's a root that goes back not just to Bojangles Smith, but Vandal Smith. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Rumor on the street is that your first 100, your first Cup Match century was actually inspired. Was it by your great grandfather? Tell that story, and let's bring your family in.
To be honest, I was dismissed on 96 in 1991. I got caught on the boundary, and my grandfather, my mother's father, gave me a lecture and said, do you realize you could have just scored 4 singles and you had to try to hit a 6 and get caught out? So next year, he died in 1992, and I was at the hospital and I watched his meter go flat. And at that moment, I closed my eyes and I prayed to him and made him a promise that I would score a century that year for him, on behalf of his memory. And it brings tears to my eyes just remembering, because he would come and visit us all the time at Wellington, talk about cricket to us and how we should play the game and respect the game. And knowing that I promised him that there was no way I was not going to score a century. And I can remember getting out on 129, and that was at 4:30 in the afternoon, having batted from 10. And St. George's fan, one of my biggest fans, Gladgett Fogo, came up and said, Wendell, I think the spectators are getting tired of seeing you bet now. Let's declare. This is my goal, which was basically just to honor my mother's dad, my grandfather. They called him Lushy Smith from Bayless Bay, and a lot of the Bayless Bay folks would probably remember him. But that was a goal that I set, and I really did it for him to honor his memory. And it's funny, when you have a purpose in life, something that really motivates you and inspires you, it's like nothing can stop you. And most sportsmen will understand that. And I was very proud of Clay, because he would get up mornings, 5:30 in the morning, and we'd go and throw hundreds and hundreds of tennis balls at each other. So much so that when Cup Match came, we never took our bats up before the game to practice, because we'd been up 5:30 in the morning. We'd done the work, and prior preparation prevents poor performance.
I remember that. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I love that. I remember that line. I feel like you might have said that at a summer day camp back in the day. Just those messages, right? I mean, someone's listening, and I mean, you were on 96. You try to hit it out of the park, out of the grounds, but someone said, a couple of singles, right, would have made it happen as well. I love that metaphor, and cricket is such a great, powerful tool for teaching, because someone's watching right now and they're saying, okay, all right, so my relationship right now with my father or my children isn't as you've described yours, right? but maybe they don't need to hit a 6 today. Maybe it's a couple of singles, right? I want to bring your family in, and maybe we can make it a bit more practical. When you think about just some of the 1s and 2s of a healthy family, of raising healthy children. We want to celebrate. Come on, put our hands together. If you're out there in virtual world, put your hands together for the Smith children. Within the space. Look at it. Come on, look.
Hello. Hi.
Well, Emma got your brides here too. Come on, put your hands together for the ladies. Woo! No flies on them. We want to celebrate you all, ladies and family. First of all, if I was a sports commentator on Cup Match, we gave them a quicker delivery, right? Out the back of the hand. Did we get them today? Come on. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Smith children. Thank you to Sister Nicole and Mr. Lenora. We're so grateful for you. We know that we experienced the best of Randall and Clay Smith in part because of the support that they had from you. So as you've heard us talk thus far, what comes to your mind? We want to give men flowers. We want to give them the flowers while they're here and while they can hear us. And so today, we don't have to wait till they're 80 years old. We want to celebrate them today. When you think about celebrating these fathers in your lives, what comes to your mind?
Well, I would say that I'll speak for both of them, even though only one's my husband. But I think that what they try to do, they try to ensure that the family, that we have no conflict. And so, as mothers, sometimes, we'll be getting on the children and they're always the one to come in and say, take it easy, it'll be all right, it's okay. And so we constantly have that, which puts us back in place. And so I do have to thank them for that, because it just continues to keep the love, for all of us. So we're able to play games together. We're able to play cards together. We have karaoke together, all of those things. And it's always banter as well. So it's good lessons, because the children recognize that, sometimes you're going to get teased, but it's okay. And so we could talk about each other. We could talk about, the children's cooking, by the way. And yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. Children of Randall and Clay Smith, you have great dads. Clearly, you have great relationship with your dads. What comes to mind as sort of like maybe the theme of their parenting, or just something when you think of daddy? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
I think one of the things, and I can probably speak for all of us, the Smith family motto, we would definitely say, is stick to the wicket and the runs will come. We all, are in different areas, and we've all had to go through schooling. We've all had, personal and professional things, mountains and valleys that we've had to go through. And one thing that I definitely have remembered was stick to the wicket and the runs will come. And just watching our fathers and the way that they've navigated their lives, they've definitely been an inspiration. And my Uncle Clay always saying mental toughness. If you guys agree, I think those lessons really stuck with us, and seeing them as educators. I never felt pressure personally, like that I had to achieve because they were educators, but rather they set an example, and they also facilitated the environment that just allowed us to learn. My dad would sit at the kitchen table with me for hours, me crying because math never has been my strong suit. But he would find different ways to teach me, and then I could go to school the next day and show my teacher a different way to do it. So they've been very intentional about loving us all individually.
I love it. Somebody else. Now, Jonte, I hope you heard me share earlier that you left an imprint on some of the media folks, just in the way that you were polite and the way you engaged. I want to say that out loud as well, just in your presence. Well done, right? We celebrate not just what you do on the field as a footballer, but also just the way that you engaged. I would love to hear from you, from Jonte, from Jalen as well. We want to come back. Haley, we're gonna get to you. We've seen some videos of you, and we're gonna come to you. Jonte, for Jalen, what comes to mind? I hear we're on the street is that even the pursuit of your football dream in the UK, Jonte, was in part of sacrifice that your parents were willing to make. So tell us about what comes to your mind. I don't want to lead you anywhere because you might have another thought, but when I heard that, I'm like, whoa, that's pretty big. So talk to us, gentlemen, about your experiences as sons of these two gentlemen.
Well, from my experience, for me, I was trying to decide, pursue cricket, pursue football, and the decision sort of came that I wanted to pursue football. So, I had spoken to the parents and they had said, okay, you know what? If you get these grades, we'll hop on a plane and move to England. And, as a kid, I didn't really think too much about it. But then as you get older, it was almost pushing me to say, how much do you want it? If you want it, this is what it's going to take. And, that summer I was at the library every day. I was studying. I was doing everything to make sure that I got the grades that I needed to allow me to pursue my dreams. Because, they, as much as, they were a very sports oriented family, education is also important. So they wanted to make sure that was instilled in my values.
I love it. How about for you, Jalen?
Yeah, what can I say? Like my dad mentioned earlier, he definitely put a lot of time in when I was younger, training cricket. Everything was cricket back then. I had a huge passion for cricket. I still love to watch cricket. But like you said, as I got older, my eyesight got a bit worse, and I started to get into football more. And as my dad said, he never really pushed me or made me like, look, I want you to play cricket. He never put that pressure on me, which, I'm grateful for, because it could have been different. And now, like he said, we share a passion with fishing, which, as he said, we love fishing. It's great to spend that quality time with him, going out fishing. We took Jante when we went last week. So yeah, it's yeah.
I love that. I love that. So here's what I want to do. A lot of times we talk about people, right? We say good things about them, sort of like in, whether it be for an occasion, but sometimes it's great just to talk to them, right? And this is a special moment. I'm not sure if you've ever had a moment like this where we've really taken the time to celebrate two men of many great fathers. But what would you like to say directly to Randall Smith, to Clay Smith in this moment, just based on, just your journey, just something you want to share with them at this time? I want to just open up the floor for you to talk directly to them. And then we're going to transition to a couple of other topics, but I wanted to just get sort of the opportunity for you all to share. What would you like to say if you were giving these gentlemen flowers in this moment? What would that sound like? What would that feel like verbally?
I guess for me, to you, Dad, like I've always looked up to you, even from a little girl. I remember thinking that you were literally a superstar in my eyes. There was one cap match. I don't know if I was like 4 or 5 or 6, but I left the house and I went to the gate and I was like, oh, I get him for free because Clay Smith is my dad. He's great. And so I've just always looked up to you and I've appreciated the connection that we have, down to the little things of literally reading me to sleep at night. And you still do that now. Like I remember I had a nightmare a few months back and I literally went into your room and I was crying. This is so embarrassing to say on live TV.
That's okay.
But he literally came into my room and he rubbed my back until I was asleep. And this is me at 24 years old. Wow. And so that love that I have for you.
Man, so my wife's in the room crying. But I want, before somebody tees it up, right? I just need you to hear this, because here's the reality. There are many amazing fathers out there, and some of you, we see your comments in the chat. We want to celebrate you, because I think sometimes Clay Smith, like I remember you, sir. I remember Randall Smith, the precision of making sure that the third man was just right around the right angle, and the covers were like you. What I hear is the same intentionality that you set up as they to set in the field to get somebody out for Somerset. You interrupt your baby girls back at 24? Let's go. That's amazing. That's what we do. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing, Haley. Somebody else, you want to give them the flowers. You know what I mean? Just right now, give them the flowers. What comes to your mind? Let's celebrate these two amazing dads on behalf of so many other dads in our community.
You want to hear that?
Sure. Well, something that comes to my mind that a lot of people may not know is that, one year my dad was playing cup match. I think at the time there was only 2 reserves allowed, and St. George's got 2 injuries early in the morning. And I was a big cricket fan, so I'm there, and he looks over to me, and him and the coaches are talking, and they say, "Jonte, go get your whites." So at that time, we lived about a 1-minute run or 30-minute sprint if you were a young boy. And I sprinted home, got my whites on, because, they were going to have me as a reserve for cup match at a young age because they just needed someone else. And, that sort of memory was like, for me, I was so young, but they all had the belief in me to be like, I know you're young, but we know that you can do this. And we know that you can be a part of this team and potentially, a part of this team for the future. So that just, it made me feel like they had some real belief in my ability as, a cricketer and as a youngster and as a person.
I love it. I love it.
And if I could add to that, so I played cricket. Maybe I finished playing cricket. The last time I played was under my dad's coaching at Western Stars. I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. And I've watched my dad coach. I never got to watch him play, unfortunately, due to my age. But I've watched him coach teams, and being able to play under his coaching, I first-handed was able to see how much of an influence he had on the team and the players around us. I mean, the team at Western Stars, I watched from the beginning of the season to the end, the improvement of everyone, the players, everything. It was amazing to see, and it was all just from, my dad's coaching ability, his teaching ability and stuff like that. Whereas the players, the other players were telling me, they would always say like they look forward to coming to cricket training. They never did before, but they were eager to come and train under him just because they were actually saw their own progression. So I just want to, I guess, say keep it up there.
Yeah. And what I hear you saying, Jalen, is that your dad was also a great father to you, but he's been a father to other people's children, right? In the words of Lisa Delpit, right? And I can attest to that. I mean, the young people at West Pembroke and Pedger Primary and Delwood, right? I mean, just in all the different teams. So yeah, I love that. Cool. I don't want to leave you out. What would you like to say to Randall Smith? Mr. Smith, what's your middle name? I feel like I need to get the full name. What's your middle name?
My middle name's McKay.
Come on, to Randall McKay Smith. Talk to your dad.
I feel like there are so many things I could say. I think for me, one of the things that I respect and love the most about my dad is his moral compass, his values, because if it's one thing about him, he sticks to his values. He's very consistent, and his work ethic, whether it's cricket, whether it's his job, whether it's his family, he gives his all. Like if he's going to do something, he is going to do it well. And I think that those are lessons that have definitely served us. Even when it came to me pursuing my master's degree, my dad only ever asked us to do our best, but I knew that he had gotten a 4.0 in his master's, and so I wanted to do the same. And I remember even one of my classes in undergrad, I took this history class. I don't know why, it was an upper level writing history class. Did not enjoy it at all. And we'd be talking on the phone. He would be motivating me, and he shared with me, I think it was a Chinese history class that he had taken, and he coached me through it, and I passed it. And then my master's as well, I was able to get a 4.0. And I feel like it's only because I had that was all good, but also the example of my father, because I knew that if he could do it, I could do it. And I just, even hearing some of my friends who were in school with him at Patrick Primary, whenever his name comes up, it's always been a good reaction. And I love that the same experience that we've had as a family, others have had. And my Uncle Clay, I can't leave him out, because literally every time I see my Uncle Clay from the moment I can remember, when he answered a room and I'm there, I got a hug first. Quick, he acknowledges me. I was his first daughter before Haley came along. And even still, when Haley came along, they all have a way of loving us individually. And I want to say thank you to our moms, the cricket moms as well, cricket wives, because they definitely showed us what it means to support your man and to support their passions. They definitely kudos to them as well.
Yes, and we don't have time. We want to give you Clan ladies and the children. We hear that there were tracks across the bridge during pregnancies, and there's a whole lot of stories, right, that we will get into. But we hear that cricket and family has been central to the Smith family. I want to transition and get you out of here with this one. I also want to acknowledge, like any innings, sometimes there are challenges, and I also want to acknowledge Mr. Clay Smith. We're so grateful that you're with us. We know that you had a bit of a health scare, health challenge. I don't know what you want to share about that, but I also know that you've been on a journey as to your faith. And I sense that God is doing some pretty cool things in your life. And what would you like to share from someone who's watching, who celebrated you as a batsman, as a cricketer, that maybe out of this new season where you've transitioned and overcome a health challenge? What would you like to share? And then we're going to close out with a special song that I think will touch your heart. But I want to make sure that you have a chance to share what you would like to share to those who are watching.
Yeah, I just want to, first of all, thank the Hill of Bermuda, because I knew there were a lot of people. Everywhere I went, people were just telling me how much they prayed for me. St. Luke's, Apple, church, Fresh Church of God, where I go to now. Just people in the street. Everybody really put a lot of time in praying for me, and I'm very grateful for that, because I know prayer works, you know. Boy.
So right. Okay, let it out. That's good.
Yeah, so it was a definitely tough test. You know, we went to the doctor. I mean, my wife was with me the whole time. She's been very inspirational. She's been huge through all of this. You know, she from the time I went to the hospital. I'll tell you a little quick story, real quick. My daughter came down to the hospital to try and to see me or whatever, and she asked the doctor if I'm going to be okay. And the doctor says, well, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you yes, and I can't tell you no. And she says, that's not what I want to hear. That's not what I want to hear. My dad is not going to die. So that was the stuff. It was a very tough period of time, you know. My son flew home from England to be with my daughter while my wife went over to Boston with me. But something special happened.
Come on.
Something special happened while it was out there. And it's tough telling the story. It's tough. But while I was out there, I had a dream.
So right.
One thing, my wife and I, we prayed a lot. My wife and I prayed a lot. Always out there, prayed every day. Talk about my brother Ray. He was a boxer. So I'll tell you about my dream. I'm gonna set it up. So my brother Ray and my mom, we always used to go to BAA to watch him box. And there was one time my brother Ray got knocked out. My mother was there telling him, get up, Ray, fight. Get up and fight, Ray. Get up and fight. So
come on, so what?
I'm in Boston.
Yeah.
And I'm having this dream. My mother came to me in my dream. And that was her exact words. Get up and fight, Clay. Get up and
yeah.
So the next day, you know, I got up and the lady was like, you know, we want to take you for some exercise. I could hardly even walk at that time. I could hardly even walk. So they brought me a walker. And it's this little area that they had about, you know, a little small area. It would probably take me maybe on a regular day, maybe 30 seconds to walk, you know? But this day, you know, like I said, I was struggling just getting on my feet. First time actually trying it. It took me a good 5 to 10 minutes just walking this little, you know, but that was my first steps back to recovery.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But ever since then, I've been fighting to get back to where I am.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
As you know, my family means the world to me.
Yes, sir.
It means the world to me. So I'm just grateful for all of these guys. My brother, Lenora, Courtney, Jalen, all of them. You know, my other son, Clay. Everybody was down in the hospital. My Aunt Betty, Elizabeth, my cousin Elizabeth, Christopher. You know, the family, everybody came together and came to see me off down at the hospital, make sure I was okay. And I just want to thank my whole family. Because without them, and it's funny because not funny, but I came back and I actually worked down at the hospital. So about 2 weeks ago, I went down to ICU as I was going down there to do some work. And one of the ladies like, you from somewhere? I say, yeah, I was here back in September. She goes, oh, yes. She goes, no way. She goes, boy, you are blessed and God has blessed you. God has done miracles with you. Your testimony within itself. I said, wow, it made me realize how fortunate I was, how special. And then she actually went and said, listen, I have one thing to tell you. Like, she goes, I have a friend who had the exact same thing that you did, but is no longer with us. He actually passed away.
Mercy.
And so, I want to thank God that you're here today to, just be able to be alive and share this moment with me, to be able to, just set eyes on you. And it made me realize just how fortunate I am, how blessed I am. And I just continue to thank God day in and day out for blessing me and blessing my family, keeping me here.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank God for your life. Mr. Smith, you look like you're going to say something in closing.
Well, the words, by the grace of God, just come to mind. And those of us who are believers realize that it's by God's grace that He does what He does. But thank you for this. And I'd just like to tell Bermuda that Claire and I had no idea that we were going to be on the show today. We just came down because our daughters were going to cook for us today for the first time. And guess what? Nikki, this was what's funny. Don't worry, Wendell. I've got a backup plan just in case the food's not on that shop.
Well, we celebrate you. Yep. You go.
Thank you for giving us these accolades, because it is nice to receive the flowers while you're alive. And I just want to thank God for keeping my brother alive, because having lost my older brother, that would have been very tough. But thank you to many people in Bermuda, people like Noah Gibbons and Barry Sousa, lots of people who I can go on and on, who just said, listen, tell your brother, we're thinking of him and wishing him well. So thank you to all of you throughout Bermuda, and even Bishop Lamb, who came to the hospital, and so many others, just for praying for my brother. And thank you for sharing this moment, because I know when I found a card from Courtney from a Father's Day a few years back, and it brought tears to my eyes to read her just saying, Dad, thank you for all that you've done for me, and being a good role model. Because like I say, cricket accolades is one thing, but to hear your own children say, thank you for being a good dad. I mean, what more could you want than that? And that's how you open the show, with your own father, acknowledging the wonderful relationship you two have. And to all the fathers out there, I'd just like to encourage you to continue to play a wonderful role in your children's life. And I hope tomorrow's a blessing for all of you, also to help you realize that it's a great duty and responsibility that we have. And to Stephen Douglas, it was wonderful to hear your son, thank you also. But to you, Mr. Douglas, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And we had no idea we were going to be on show. But like you say, we lost the toss and was sent into bat, and we came to the wicket, petted up and ran.
Listen, I knew if there was anyone that could handle it there, it was our two opening batsmen from my childhood. We just want to put our hands together for you and just thank you to your family. Right, we know that a great innings is not just about those who are out in the crease, but those back in the pavilion, your brides, your children, and our entire community. On behalf of So Amazing Life today, our nonprofit and my family want to say Happy Father's Day. Thank you. And we want to close the segment out with a short one. I just want to have a word of prayer for you. And also I want to share a short video that Haley shared with us, that she in the past, I believe, shared with you while you're at the hospital. We want to share that as a tribute to fathers, to Miss Lenora, to Miss Nikki. Thank you, ladies. We appreciate you. Dad, any final words before we have a word of prayer for them? Just what are you feeling?
Man, my emotion is running over. They were heroes of mine on the field.
Come on.
And as fathers, the heroes of mine off the field. Because as you well know, our title today is You've Seen the Fruit, Respect the Root.
Yeah.
And now we know, right? We know that their root, going back to their father and even their grandfather, set the stage for the men they are today. And that's a very powerful thing, because I believe that each one of us lives is here for a reason. Sometimes we don't recognize it until late in life, but when you recognize it, and through fatherhood, when you recognize it through fatherhood, you become a hero to a young person. I tell my son all the time, my goal as a father was always to be better. Always to be better. And we talked from like the age of 7. And I see things and saw things then that when they materialized later in life, I was extremely overwhelmed. My belief in God is based on what God has done in my life. So when I hear you, Clay, my emotion was bubbling over. And I just want you guys to stay strong, because your family needs you and respects you.
Yeah,
and that's powerful for men.
That's good.
The respect.
Yeah, that's good.
Hang in there, guys.
That's good. The celebrations for you don't end with cup match days. You have men and women and families and children that are still celebrating you as cup match heroes. I want to pray for you. I want to make sure the audience knows that just like cup match, we got a part 2. There's we got some other panelists that are coming. We're going to change gears. We got more shout outs coming. But we just wanted to just pause in this moment and pray for you and share a short video right after this prayer. Father, we're grateful for the Smith family. We thank you for this moment. We thank you for life. We thank you for our dear brother Clay Smith and the preservation of his life. Continue to heal him, continue to strengthen him. We thank you for our dear brother, Mr. Randall Smith, his bride as well, and their family, their children, and every father that and their family and family that's watching. I ask that this testimony, this conversation that they've shared will reverberate all across our country and this world like their big sixes and great cover drives did. And when it's all said and done, may our innings continue to bring you glory. In your name we pray. Amen. Let's share the show a song by Haley. Thank you, Smith family. God bless you. We love you and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now you gotta sing along with me. You gotta help me out. I am a mountain. I am a tall tree. Oh, I am a swift wind sweeping the country. I am a river down in the valley. Oh, I am a vision I can see clearly. If anybody asks you who I am, just stand up tall, look them in the face and say, I'm that star up in the sky, I'm that mountain peak up high. Hey, I made it, I'm the world's greatest. I'm that little bit of hope when my back's against the ropes. I can feel it, I'm the world's greatest. Love you.
Wow, that's amazing. If you're feeling that, put them in the chat. Come on, put some 100s in the chat. Let's celebrate the Smith family. We're so excited about them. Thank you for being with the Smith family. We have more to come. Don't go. We're going to show you a short video, a shout out. I like to call them root videos. We have a video, I believe, from Mr. Cal Simons. Spread the word, Cal Simons. We got some girl dads up in here as well. And so we'll make sure we show that video while we also cue our panelists who are to join. Don't go anywhere. We don't just have great panelists. We also have a special video for you that's coming real soon, produced by my own youngest son, Essie and Douglas. So stay tuned and check out this video to celebrate Mr. Cal Simon. Smith family, we love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Daddy. Happy Father's Day. We just wanted to say Happy Father's Day to you. And we love you. You are loved. You are appreciated. The person that I call whenever I need anything. We just want to say Happy Father's Day and that we love you. We appreciate you. And we want you to have an amazing day. Love you, Dad. Love you, Daddy. You're seeing the fruit. You gotta respect the root.
Dad, what's going on, man? That was a strong first. If that was day one of cup match, you got to come back fresh bowl for day two. Come on.
Whoa. We gotta pack that cooler now with those sodas and water, man.
On.
Whoa, man.
I love it, man. You know, the voice of summer he'll be loving it. He wouldn't have a whole lot to do to sell day two. We're excited, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being with us. I hope you still share this broadcast. We're still about halfway there. We have some amazing people that are joining us. I want to celebrate and acknowledge our panelists who are joining us. I have with us Mr. Sullivan Phillips out there in internet land, a former professional basketball player. Sully, where you at, my brother?
Hey, Tom, Mr. Douglas. Good afternoon. How you guys doing?
Good to see you, man. Representing Balling Out of Control. One of my favorite fathers. I wanted to just connect. I know we've been talking a lot about cricket, and I know you had some touches on the football field, Sully, but for those who enjoy basketball as well, you're a hooper and a great dad, man. So happy Father's Day to you, first of all. How are you planning on spending it? How you planning on spending tomorrow?
First off, happy Father's Day to you and your father.
Thank you.
As I say to you, as I don't say enough, the examples that men like you guys set are very much so needed. For me, honestly, Ty, we're just gonna have my wife's father over. Just keep it simple, man. Nothing too strenuous. Just enjoy the family.
I love it. Man, we're gonna have a starting five in this segment, Sully. So it's not just the big three with us three. I want to bring in, I guess he'll probably be like a point guard. I want to bring in my cousin, Kadre Hill. Cuz, where you at? Come on, join the broadcast. Where you at?
Yeah. Good to see him.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Cuz, good to see you, man. Listen, we celebrate you. So, gentlemen, you should know on this panel, this is his first official Father's Day. I think the little ones were inside of his bride for the last one, but they're here now. I don't know if you could put the picture up of some really cool looking Koreans. Come on, cuz. Now we have to talk about the outfit that they're wearing. I wish they had on the red of Liverpool, but they're cute enough to even wear Man City gear. You know what I mean? Happy Father's Day to you, cuz. How do you plan to spend tomorrow, man?
I don't even know, to be honest. My wife will probably do something special, probably a surprise. I'll have to wait and see.
Okay. But you're excited about your first one? Beautiful. Are you excited about your first one?
I'm definitely 100% excited about tomorrow.
Okay.
Just being able to be a father, just be able to hold my son and my daughter tomorrow on that day is going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm excited for sure.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you being on. I know you're a low-key guy, so even to have you in this forum, man, that's a blessing, man. We're gonna make sure that you bless the people. And then I've got one more. I'm bringing in this is like your the player that can play every position, man. He's my uncle, but he is a father figure to me, friend, brother, best man in my wedding. Love him like life. I call him Uncle Harry Ashley Collingwood. You gotta get the Collingwood being Jr. Come on, bring him in. Uncle, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, nephew?
How's it going, man?
Everything is good, man. I see you got all the names in there. Yes,
listen, man, we gotta get the Hess Scobie. You know what I'm saying? We got the 3 generations. We about to celebrate generations. How you doing, Uncle?
Happy, man. Yes, man.
Good, man.
Happy Father's Day to everybody.
Yes, sir. Happy Father's Day to you. How do you plan to spend tomorrow?
Well, I got 2 of the Cubs on the island, and we'll probably definitely video in the third one. I'm gonna soon do a barbecue, man. Just spend time with the kids. That's what I love to do on Father's Day is to be with my kids and just enjoy them. You know, so that's the plan, man. Keeping it simple and lovely.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have 5 fathers, our starting 5. It's not too late to share this broadcast. We also have some other shout outs that are to come. I've got a father that we're going to celebrate. I can't wait to share with you all. But for a couple of minutes, I just wanted to have a conversation with you all, various backgrounds, various sort of, dynamics as it relates to you being fathers, but also your relationships with your fathers. Real quick, gentlemen, when I say the word father, when I say the word daddy, fatherhood, what comes to your minds? I don't know who wants to take it first. I just want to throw the rock out and see who wants to go grab it. But when I say father, when I say daddy, when I say fatherhood, what comes to your mind first?
I would say, well, I guess I'll go first.
Let's go.
I'll say service.
Okay.
Service and support.
Okay.
Because I'm a new father, so I'm new to this, but since my son and my daughter have shown up, I've been serving them because they can't do for themselves right now.
Yeah.
Whether it's making bottles for them every 2 hours because they need to eat.
Come on.
Whether it's changing their diapers, because they can't do them types of things themselves. And also serving them with love, unconditional love, serving them with my time, my quality time, and just being able to nurture them. So I'll definitely say at this point, fatherhood means service to me. And hopefully I can see the fruits of my labor and they'll turn around and help me out and serve me if I can't do something for myself when the time is right for them. So I'll say service for fatherhood.
All right. Appreciate you sharing that, man. This is your first one, but you got the counsel, man. That's good because there's some young fathers who are watching who need to hear how they're navigating life. And you got 2 answers. That's another level of service. Appreciate you sharing. Somebody else, what comes to your mind?
Hey, what comes to mind, man, is protector. That's something that as soon as you meet that little one for the first time, man, you realize that this is no joke, and that this is a charge for the rest of their lives, the rest of your life, and it's an awesome responsibility. And I also think about the fact that hey, it shifted.
Yeah.
You got to provide and make sure that every need is met, and that they have every opportunity afforded to them to excel, and just to be great people, and you just can't take fatherhood lightly,
I love it.
Yeah.
Sally, what comes to your mind, brother?
Honestly, Ty, when I first became a father, I thought it meant there had to be a piece of discipline that had to be there. There was something I had to show my kids, which was, do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, how you're supposed to do it, the way you're supposed to do it, and especially when no one's watching. So initially, that's what I thought it was. What I understand it to be now is, first and foremost, I'm a teacher. I teach my kids how to treat others. I teach them how to be a man, or what kind of man to look for. And as they get older, you become an advisor. I no longer tell you what to do, but what I do is give you options and try to give you the best possible advice that will help you, and understand that you have the right to do what you want to do, and you can ignore my advice.
That's good. Dad, you want to chip in?
Well, I think these brothers have covered most of it, man.
Okay.
I actually wrote it down because I was trying to see if anything was missed. The last thing is because he said teacher of life and an advisor, but more than that, we become an example along the way. How we deal with situations becomes an example for how your child sees the challenges of life. And if you see them just as challenges and find a way through your spirituality and your commitment to family, then you're taking a step outside of yourself and above yourself. So I think these guys have hit the mark on their explanation of fatherhood, which I had written down sometime earlier, just before we started this, and they've covered it all.
I love it. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. It looked like we had Alfred Esdale watching, look like from Canada, and when we acknowledge the comments that are in the chat as well. We see you. We're so glad you're watching. They're saying Happy Father's Day to you, gentlemen, and to all who are watching. I love that. When you think about, gentlemen, success as a father, right? What does that look like for you? And I know everyone's not going to answer every single question, so we'll bounce it around. We'll sort of, share it. But like when you think of success, gentlemen, for you as a father, what does that look like for you? And we're understanding that different fathers may have different perspectives, and others who are watching who may need just some counsel on how they are defining success for them. Maybe there's someone who's watching who doesn't have a great relationship with one of their children, and they're trying to figure out, what does success look like? Talk to us, gentlemen. Somebody as relates to what success looks like for you as a father.
Well, Ty, I would say the fact that you can actually witness your kids succeeding in mostly every aspect of their lives. It is gratifying, because sometimes I guess sometimes it's hard to measure it as you're going through it, but when your kids exhibit the fact that they are prospering and they actually verbalize it to you, for a father, that's important, because sometimes you just don't know. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can get gray and you're wondering if you're parenting the right way. But when it comes back from their mouths, that's success to me as a father, and being able to know that they know that you love them, and to see them appreciate that and reciprocate that back to you, that's awesome. And I mean, so for fathers out there that may be probably wondering if they're succeeding as a father, if you're seeing those elements, that you see the fruits of your labor and your guidance and directing in your kids' lives, and if you can tell that there's genuine love between you, that in itself is success. You know what I mean?
Okay, I hear you. I appreciate that. Sally, it sounded like you about to jump in. Was that you?
Yeah, Ty. For me, success is simply looking at my child and seeing evolution, evolving into a better person, a better version of me. And for me, especially during this pandemic, I've seen how difficult the mental piece is. So I've re-looked at it, and it's come to the point where I would love to see my child evolve in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual space, and evolution to the best possible person they could be. That to me is success as a father, seeing your child evolve to the best person they can be, and not based on my selfish ideas.
I love it. Right. I want to connect the dots between our previous guests, the Smiths, and what you shared, Sadi. It sounds like success as a father, it may not always look the same, right? I mean, there may be moments you think about like a cricket innings where, the runs are flowing and you're hitting 4s and 6s, but sometimes you might just need a little forward and defensively, right? Just to get through the over or get through COVID, right? Or, just making sure, as you mentioned, Sadi, that they're well, as relates to their emotional health and the like, right? So if I hear you correctly, it sounds like it's not just one thing. It's not just success in school or success in sport or success in what, but it's really about, attentiveness to the holistic development of a young person. And I would love to add creating space for their gifts and passions to emerge. When I think about my sons, I study them. Like I study, research, like I study other things, right? Like I'm a student of my children. And so I've realized that there are certain things that are seasonal, right? Like just like runs coming, or just like Sadi, when when you're hitting that jumper and it's like, man, you passed me the rock, right? Like there are certain seasons where your child may be passionate about the drums, like my youngest. And then there are other times where he seems like he's really interested in cooking, Dad, right? But then there are other times where it's like, the football is pretty constant, but he's really interested in like video production. And so I'm helping to encourage him to do that, right? For our oldest, it's like, what does that look like? He has a great eye. He can see what needs to be done. I'll ask him, hey, Jay, do I need to rock this for this, for this particular event? Or, should I write this? Or what do you think about this particular opportunity, right? He's a visionary in that regard. And studying our children, I believe, is just as important as trying to inspire them. Because sometimes I found we try to push kids to do things that may be seasonal or may not be as necessarily what they're supposed to be doing on that particular level at that time. And so I want to just make sure as folks are listening that what I hear is that as fathers, we have to calibrate like a good skipper in cricket there, right? Sometimes you got to switch it up and say, we need a spin builder right now, right? You know what I mean? It's time for the medium pacer to come on. Sally, we need to bring on somebody outside who can get some rebounds for us, right? What do you think about that, Dad?
I think you've hit it again. I think for me, having two kids, the journey is, first of all, listening, identifying what is their personal interest, and then trying to support them as best I can. Now, in that support comes a whole lot of things. It comes giving them my experiences so that in their decision-making process, they're not just going into the unknown. I've had a life, I've made mistakes, and I can share those with you and your sister. And then, as I always say to you guys, I now trust you to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of them I may not agree with, but because I trust you to make those decisions, I'll be here to support you no matter what. So I think sometimes being a father is example,
yeah,
as much as possible, but it's also about supporting goals that you have personally and trying to ensure that there is communication between both of us or all of us, because there are some things we talk about as a family and there are some things we talk about as individuals to ensure that we understand each other as individual people with individual goals.
Yeah.
With a personal journey. I talk to my kids about journey all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Their journey is not mine. You know, and some of the things that I had in my journey, I don't want for them. So, yeah, being this parent, not just a father, but being a parent is about listening.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the goals and wherever possible, giving guidance.
That's good.
And that's what I try to do in my journey. It's recognizing I'm not perfect. I said this to you the other day, son. I recognize I'm not perfect, but I also recognize that God has put me here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not your dad because I wanted to be alone. I'm your dad because I'm here for a reason. And
That's
as
good.
a believer, I continue to measure my life by what would God have me to do with you.
Yeah, that's good. We want to give a shout out. Yeah, that's good, Jay. I see there's some shout outs in the chat as well. Conrad Rose says that fatherhood is about sacrifice. I also want to acknowledge the father of Quinell Simons. Her dad is 96 years old. So, Mr. Quentin Butterfield Sr., we celebrate you, sir. Happy Father's Day to you. If I hear you correctly, Dan, one of these you said you often would tell me, listen, there was only one perfect man and they hung him on a cross, right? So I believe it's important not just for man to know this, but in particular for fathers, for us to know this, that fatherhood is not about perfection. We're going to make mistakes. In fact, I believe that we can be more effective fathers when we actually show our children the places where maybe there are underdeveloped strengths, maybe areas where we didn't get it right, so that we can help them to maybe avoid some of those things. So I love what you've shared. I want to pivot a little bit in our conversation, gentlemen. One of the things that I'm thoughtful about is also just the legacy of our own fathering experiences, as it relates to being children, and just the different ways that Father's Day hits different people, right? For some people, Father's Day is a difficult time. Some people have lost fathers. So I want to also acknowledge that, right? In the chat, send in the names even now of your fathers. They're not here to be able to hear your message or to be able to, see this broadcast, but we want to still hear and say their names. So even in the chat, please share with us the names of maybe fathers or father figures that you want to just honor during this Father's Day weekend. But I also want to ask, and Sally, I want to just come to you if I could real quick, man. Your story of even father loss, right, is something that I know is central to your journey. I'd love to just hear you maybe share a little bit about your relationship with your dad, who was a pastor. Tell us a bit more context. I think it will hit people in maybe some places that I need to just be encouraged today. We'd love to hear a bit of your journey if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, Ty, one of the biggest things, my father was a minister. He was a pastor. And the craziest thing about him was, as I got older, I realized the people at church knew my dad better than me. there were things that they could tell me about him that I didn't know. Like, people look at my dad, he was a good man, but 16, 17 years I knew him, he never told me I loved him. So fast forward to me becoming a father. Now it's important for me to recognize, but I didn't really recognize it. So my oldest daughter, she got the worst version of me, which was my dad 3.0. I don't know how to say I love you. I'm doing for you, so that's love. And I almost jacked her up, Ty. I almost messed up her life. Fast forward to now, she's 19, and we just had a conversation where she's crying on my shoulder this morning, like, I so appreciate you. So if there's any fathers out there that's struggling, just understand, like, if the blueprint's been bad before, or there wasn't a blueprint before, there's a good blueprint out there for you to figure out what fatherhood looks like. For me now, Ty, honestly, every day, my dad didn't tell me he loved me not one single day. Every day, I make sure every single one of my children get a good morning, I love you, and a good night, I love you. So for me, my journey was simple. I lacked a lot with my dad, and it caused me to go places that I should have never gone. And the adjustment for me is now pivoting and doing those things to ensure my kids' journey doesn't have to look like mine, and that curse or that breakup that we had, my kids don't have to go through.
Yeah. That's powerful, Sally. I mean, I want to stay there for a second. When you think about how you were able to sort of find your way back, if you will, and I want to say this as, because this broadcast is one about affirmation and celebration as well. Sally, man, I want to just acknowledge, man, that I believe that your dad, would be super proud of you, brother. You know what I mean? In your own right, you're a minister. You know what I mean? You're a minister, flat out, right? And I just want to celebrate you because I believe that the world is also getting some of the best of him through you, right? What did that pivot look like? Because I know you shared the story with me a little bit as relates to, like, he sort of suddenly passed on you, right? Like, there wasn't a lot of lead up. Like, you didn't necessarily get a chance to tell him some things in life that now you're getting to fulfill even after his passing. Help somebody, because there's someone out there who maybe has their dad and maybe there's some disconnects. But I know there's some things that you would have loved to have experienced, or maybe some things that you can share from your own sort of healing journey that could help somebody else. Anything that you can share that would be maybe helpful to somebody who either has the opportunity to connect with a living father that maybe they feel disconnected from, or some healing from even a father who's no longer with them, but they can still find a way to honor their legacy.
Absolutely, man. I'll share really briefly. My father and I, our last conversation was an upset one. And the next day I found out he was dead. Wow. So for me as a 16, 17-year-old boy to have an argument over something what I thought was important, now life teaches me the most important lesson, that time waits for no man. And when you waste it, you don't get it back. And I never get to see my father again until now he's being buried.
Wow.
So the biggest lesson right there for me is use time wisely.
Yeah.
Like, so the person out there who maybe doesn't have a connection with the father, if you have time and you're alive, it doesn't have to be the greatest thing at the beginning. But let me tell you something. Not a day goes by where my eyes don't fill up with tears remembering what my last conversation with my dad was.
Wow. Yeah.
I have to visit that every single day, Ty. Anytime I hear the trumpets blowing from a funeral for like a military, I begin to tear up because that's the last memory I have of my dad. And my advice to anyone is, you don't want that type of memory to be on your chest for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So if there's a way to get and connect, you need to. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
I live it every single day, bro. Every day I wake up and I see a vision. I see my dad somehow, some way. And I can't say nothing to him. So I can't say thank you for what you instilled in me. I can't tell him. I can't even tell my dad, you know what? I know you love me, but you were never taught to say I love you. So how could you tell me? But I blamed you for it.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot that I could say to him, but I can't. So for me, honestly, I just tell everyone, if the opportunity is there for restoration, take it. Because
Yeah,
once
yeah,
restoration is moved and that person's gone, there's no recourse. It's over.
yeah. Sorry, that's powerful, man. I think about a couple of things I want to just sort of highlight from what you shared. One, I mean, you're talking about a man who was respected in the church. He was a pastor, and yet there was also some maybe gaps as relates to the capacity to communicate with you. And I want to just say out loud, there are generations of men, fathers, grandfathers who loved us, but didn't quite know how to say it, how to make us feel it at times. And sometimes the way they made us feel it was they built big buildings, right? They were carpenters, they were masons, right? But sometimes what that looked like as relates to communicating with us, it didn't always translate. And so I want to just say that because I think that there are gaps and even sometimes disconnects in relationships, not because the love isn't there, but because the language, the common field of interest, right? And the capacity to say, I'm sorry, or I didn't get that right, or I'm not even quite sure why I did that. Those things weren't always taught. Those things weren't always encouraged. And so I want to just make sure we say that out loud, because even in the context of religion and churches, sometimes those things have not been attended to. So Sally, again, man, I want to thank you for your transparency, because in sharing that, there's probably a father or a mother or someone who needs to also hear that there's a need to communicate, but there are also gaps from those who have led at times that we have the opportunity to bridge, man. So I want to just celebrate and acknowledge that, and thank you for your willingness to share in that regard. Other thoughts, gentlemen? I know Sally just shared a lot, but I just want to make sure that we can invite you all to other thoughts just from what he shared that maybe sort of is resonating with you. We see you there. I know it's heavy.
Yeah, it is heavy. I think about your grandfather, and he showed you more love when he was on his dying bed.
Right.
And I realized that because I always tell you that I'm trying to be better, and I realized that we all have these painful moments in our journey.
Yeah.
And most times we have no one to express them to.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with a relationship with you and your sister where we talk about things that occurred in my youth that I've had help getting over them. But I think that as a father, we're always trying to review our youth and try to make things even better. For me, I spend time taking away the good from my father, the good from what I call my summer father, who I mentioned earlier today, my uncle Earl Baston, and then my mother's husband, Bernard Jackson. I try to take the good from them. And sometimes in their chastisement of me, I felt a lot of pain in it. But upon review, I realized that sometimes guidance means you have to bend the tree to get it to grow the way you want it to grow. And I pray for Sully's strength in identifying, that he wants to make it better for his children.
Yeah.
And I take my hat off to you, Sully. I take my hat off to you because the pain of the experience could either stump you, or you can say, wait a minute, this wasn't good, but I'm going to make it better.
Yeah.
And I talk to Ty about that all the time with my life, because I wasn't this believer in his youth, but I tried to be there for every occasion.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. That's good.
I'll let you just say, yeah, definitely, your words, definitely hit, Sully. And, what we kind of have wrapped, her and their you know, throughout life. Father and Mom, I could truly say I'm proud of you, you know, for the step that you have made in the right direction. You know, none of us here are perfect. We all will fall short. Not all of us understand, you know what I mean, what it means to love, or how to even say I love you, and how much it really means to hurt it, and not even necessarily hurt, but to outright feel it and believe it. You know, you don't want to be leaving this earth crashing and did he love me? You know, did I make that mark? You want to know, like, yo, I did that. And you know, my heart hurts that, you know, your last, you know, conversation wasn't the best one. And you can't go back and you can't fix it. But you can go forward. And each and every day you go forward, you know, you walk into that legacy or that individual that you didn't necessarily know, you get to know because he is inside of you. You are a part of him, you know? So I would just want to say to you, like, you know, continue to, you know, to press towards the mark, like continue to be a great father, continue to be a great husband, a great man, a great leader. You know, I just want to affirm you that, you know, you're doing a good job. So yes, man, keep it up.
I love it. Cal, you had a thought?
Yeah, definitely a thought. Just listen here. Something Stan said about understanding like the generations before us. You know, they didn't necessarily verbalize it so much so, but you could sense that they did love you. They showed it in different ways, like by being that provider and being there, being that protector. And I think that in itself is something that we can take from it. Just understanding where they were at the time and maybe their experience prior to that, you know, and bringing it full circle and saying to yourself, hey, I'm going to be a different father. Yes, maybe I didn't hear I love you that much, but you know what? I'm going to be very intentional about making sure that my kids deliberately hear that and genuinely hear that, you know. It's funny how that comes up now, because I was talking to my dad yesterday, and you know, before he got off the phone, he said, I love you. And I told him I loved him back, you know. And you know, coming up, man, you know, you always want to be tough like dad. You know what I mean? And so I could honestly say that, you know, I could remember all the times he said it to me. And each time he said it to me, I'm not even sure if he realizes how much it means when he said it to me, you know. So I know when I tell my son Colin, Harry the Third, you're watching Colin, shout out to you, man. It's intentional, man, because I want you to know that I do love you. And I'm not afraid to tell you that. And I want you to never be able to second guess if I love you. You know, and I think it's something for men to hear and not be ashamed to verbalize.
Yeah.
Especially with our sons and especially with our daughters.
Yeah.
You know, so I love you, Salon. I love you, Sanea. You guys are my life. Trust me, and I know you know that.
Yeah, it's powerful.
I also feel that, you know, being that we're talking about just love, like, how is love shown? You know, like, what is love? What does love even looks like? We talk about love. We say I love you. What does that even look like? You know, I heard somebody say that love is time. You know, spending time with your loved ones, your father, you know, your mother, your son, your daughter. You know, as Sally said, once time's going right, you don't get it back. You know, we can mess up, you know, we could fall short, but as long as we have time, we do have time to show love.
Yeah.
We do have time to give love. So I think that also we need to, you know what I mean, just make the time.
Yeah.
Whether it's to, you know, battle a relationship, whether it's time to form a new relationship, or just time to just keep things going smooth, if that's what it is. So I say that love is also time, like, you know, putting that time in.
Yeah. I just want to jump in. This is powerful. And we're actually almost out of time, gentlemen. I know it's flown by. We've got about 18 minutes left. And so if you're watching, it's still not too late to share this. We still got some things to share with you. An amazing Father's Day video that we prepared for you, a tribute video, as well as another shout out. You've seen the fruit, celebrate the root video that's coming. But I just want to also say something out loud, Sally. I think one of the things that is really powerful is the opportunity for reunions. And man, I just can't wait to that day, brother, when you get a chance to see not just your heavenly Father, but you get to embrace your earthly father again, man. I think it's important for us to know that there's also hope, even as we've experienced brokenness, right? Anyone who knows me, you know that like my oldest son, his biological father passed away, right? And like so for me, like one of my goals in life, I can't wait to present Jay, you know what I'm saying, to his biological father, to his dad, we made it, right? Like so for someone who's watching, like if you've experienced any type of complexity, like if you didn't have the white picket fence with the 2.5 kids and everything perfect, you're in good company. Like this is not about a broadcast of like perfection. Again, there was only one perfect person. They hung him on the cross. So if you have complexity, that's actually what makes the innings like more almost exciting. Not that we want to have problems, but I'm going back to my brothers on the first broadcast, the Smiths. there's some grace. Like the best centuries weren't always a perfect innings. It was when somebody dropped you when you were on 5, right? You know what I mean? Or when you should have gotten run out, right? Because again, we are not perfect. So I want to say that out loud because there's someone who's watching, and you're hearing all this and you're overwhelmed because you may feel like we're too far in the game for the innings to get better. That's not true. It is not too late for you, and I can prove that. My dad mentioned my grandfather, Henry Thomas. I didn't know him very well, and he lived across the garden from me. Dad, I loved you shared at the beginning of the broadcast about the Douglases and being dark skinned, right? Remember that you told, so I saw my grandfather, dark skinned black man. He, you know what I'm saying? He was darker than me, but I remember seeing him drink himself pale at times. And I didn't understand why he didn't want to share some of his carpentry skills with me until I began to hear about his journey, a journey that included not being admitted into the Berkeley Institute because, as he described the story, his parents weren't married when he was born, so he was deemed illegitimate. Like I'm talking about some hard stuff where he should have gotten in, but for him, carpentry was sort of like he had to settle for that when he really wanted to do something else. But his schooling journey didn't allow him to do that. I'm talking about a man right now. I'm talking to an 80-year-old. I'm talking to a 70-year-old. I'm talking to a 60-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 40-year-old who you feel like you didn't communicate very well. It's not too late. One of the highlights of my life and the reason why I go so hard, I'm so passionate about man, is because the grandfather that I didn't really have a great relationship with there. Remember, he and I, we almost got in a fight one time. I was angry with him. He built, you know what I'm saying? He had a hurdle in my backyard that I wanted to play basketball and football, and he dug up a hill to build a house. I hated him. I'm going to say it out loud. That's where we were at the season of our journey. But God's grace and communication, my mom said, son, go spend some time with him. Go listen to him for a second. And when I listened to him, and he was unwell, and I'm saying, I could see that, there were some things I needed to hear for the first time that he shared with me. I understood his journey, and it gave me greater capacity and compassion for a man who really did love me, but he didn't get to grow up and just, go to sailing and cricket clinic and whatever. It was a different existence. So I was able to extend grace to him. And when he was holding on for his last breaths, the person who was holding his hand when he passed was a grandson, me, who formerly didn't have a whole lot for him. I'm saying that it's possible to experience healing. And I'm saying that explicitly on this broadcast, because every time we do these things, there are people who reach out to me afterwards. There are fathers, there were children. Last year, I had someone who reached out to me on multiple platforms whose story was very similar to mine, except that their father went off to college and ran off to the States, had a child in the States, and has a relationship with that person. And now the dad's in Bermuda and the children overseas and the like. I'm talking to you, Dad. I'm saying it's not too late. They want relationships with us as fathers. And so if you feel like it's too late, I hope that the stories today will let you know that forgiveness is possible. It's possible to say, I'm sorry. And I want to celebrate those of you who have engaged that process. There was someone who also posted recently, Dad, I forgive you. Right? So again, forgiveness is possible. Sully, thank you so much for sharing with us a glimpse of your journey that allows us to know that so amazing life today is still possible for fathers. And I think that's a powerful message that we can take for today. I want to transition real quick in our conversation, but before we do that, I want to share a short video, a fruit to root video. Shout out to one of my other favorite fathers in the community, Norbert Simons. I hope he's watching. I hope if you could send him this message to make sure he sees this. We have a special shout out for you, sir. Happy Father's Day to you.
I just want to give a shout out to my daddy, Norbert Simons. Thank you for all your sacrifice, hard work, and support to get me to where I am today. You have taught me the true value of hard work and dedication. You are not only a fantastic father to me and my siblings, but also an important father figure to so many others, including the students that love you at Pacers. I hope I continue to make you proud. I love you so much. You've seen the fruit, you gotta respect the root.
I just want to wish a very special happy Father's Day to my father, Norbert Simons. He's the best father that anyone could ask for. If it wasn't for him, I literally wouldn't be here. He has showed me what it means to be a real man, and he set the bar high for anyone else that comes into my life. So I love you, Daddy. You see the fruit, you gotta respect the root.
Hi, Keelan Simons here. I just want to wish a sincere and special happy Father's Day to my father, Norbert Simons. He's shown me what integrity and hard work really are, and that the only currency out there is like the value of your name and whatnot. So he's really shown me like what it means to be a man, and there's very big shoes to fill. I can never fill them. I'm just grateful for all the hard work that he's put in. Without him, there is no me. And that being said, you see the fruit, respect the root.
Powerful. Yeah. If you see the fruit, respect the root. I hope there's someone, even right now, you get on the text and you send a text to a dad in your life, to a man in your life, and not just say Happy Father's Day, but let them know that the fruit that you are experiencing, the good things that you've seen, there's also a root. I hope that you'll put some names in the chat of folks who are the root of your family, the root of your journey, the root of your existence as we celebrate fathers. Gentlemen, we're pretty much out of time. And I want to give you guys a chance to just close us out with maybe just one thing that you wish you knew previously, that you would like to share with a father who's in the journey as well, but you wish that you had known this maybe 5, 10, 20 years ago. I want you to think about it. But before we call on you for that, I want to make sure that folks know that there's a video that is to come, a special Father's Day video we're going to close out with. Again, so excited to share that with you. Our youngest, S.C. Douglas, he has produced a video. Go on and check it out as well on E-Money Extreme TV. These young people that like the little cool names. So make sure you look it up. We'll make sure you have that information as well subsequently. But E-Money Extreme TV, there's a video that was actually produced by him in partnership with Terrence Taylor and Truth Renaissance. They have a special Father's Day video that's going to air at the end of this broadcast. And we hope that you'll go on and support Terrence Taylor and Truth Renaissance, and download the video on Spotify, download the video on any other streaming platform, Apple Music and iTunes. All right. So if you would just hang in for that, we're excited to share that video with you. But before we do that, we're going to have our gentleman close out with maybe one thing that you wish that you knew previously, that you want to give somebody the heads up. Again, we start out with cricket, right? And when you walk onto that pitch, it's always nice to hear from a previous batsman how the wicket is playing, right? So would you give some fathers some intel on what you've experienced out there in the middle of the crease that may be helpful to somebody else who's about to go and continue to bat or continue their innings? Who would like to go first? I'm gonna come to you.
I like to say, since we're in the middle of the crease, man, you can't give up. You got to stay at the wicket no matter what. No matter how, if the balls are bouncing, they're coming straight at you, you got to stand your ground and just be consistent and never give up. Don't give up on your kids, and don't give up on being a parent, man. It's one thing I can't understand is having kids and not being there for them. Stay there. because you're going to enjoy the beauty of it in the end. You will. You'll see them flourish and grow into beautiful, wonderful human beings. So stay at the wicket. Stay at the crease.
Yeah, yeah. Uncle, before we transition to somebody else who's next, real quick, somebody needs practical though, like ones and twos. So if someone who's watching is disconnected from a child, what would you recommend as a fresh step? What would you recommend as a fresh? Is it sending a text? Is it saying sorry if I'm sorry? Like, what would you recommend to somebody that doesn't know where to start?
Yeah, definitely reaching out. I mean, because 9 times out of 10, they may not reach out to you. So you got to take the initiative.
Okay.
And you got to reach out, whether whatever happened, whether you were right, whether they were wrong, you just got to take the initiative because I think someone alluded to it earlier, time is not promised.
Yeah.
So you got to seize the day, take the opportunity, put it behind you, like bygones be bygones, and just keep trying. It may not happen the first time, but be persistent, and just make that connection.
I love it. I love it. Somebody else, what would you say to somebody who needs a little intel, something that you know now? Guess, Ali.
All good. One thing that I wish somebody would have told me as a dad is comfort zones are plush coffins. And what that really means is if you're stuck in a comfortable place and you don't want to grow with your child or grow the relationship, it'll die. I wish somebody would have told me that, especially with my oldest daughter, because it had to go to a space where she basically was like, "You're not my dad. I hate you." And it literally was me going out to this plant that seemed dead and had to replant it, reroot it, give it water, nourish it, build trust, and go through this whole thing. Had I not gotten out of my comfortable spot, the relationship would be dead. So one of the biggest things I like to leave for everybody, if you want a real relationship, if you're looking for that next level kind of thing, be prepared to get out of comfort. Comfort won't be a space you'll be in. Like Ty, just yesterday, I'm sitting here talking to my daughter. She's talking to me about a guy. I'm like, yo, you got to be careful. Like, your boy's trying to pull the wool over your eyes. He only wants you for sex. I never had that conversation with my dad. Not once did they talk to me about sex. But now in this phase of life, I'm saying, I'm not comfortable with you having sex, but I'm not comfortable not knowing that you would have sex and I wouldn't know who the guy is, or I could guide you. So for me, do away with the comfort and find that relationship where your child knows you're constantly there for them.
Sally, say that quote one more time that you said at the beginning of your statement, please. One more time so everyone heard it good.
Oh, comfort zones are plush coffins.
Let that sink in. It's powerful. Yeah. Sally, we appreciate you, man. And you probably can tangibly sort of give like a tip. What does it look like to start that process of communication? What would you recommend? Is it, if someone is disconnected from a child and they want to have a different Father's Day tomorrow, where would you start? What would that look like?
Be humble and accept where your fault begins. I think that's the reason why me and my daughter grew was me accepting and saying I wasn't good enough for you. I wasn't the dad you needed to be, and I'm asking for forgiveness so that I can be that dad you need to be.
Yeah.
And we can grow together. And that right there, Ty, is you burying your coffin.
Come on.
And now you're rebirthing a relationship between the two of you. Trust me, it was the most embarrassing thing ever to stand there and tell her, I'm a grown-up, but I'm acting worse than you as a child. And I'm sorry. But that was the point where our relationship could grow.
Appreciate you sharing, brother. Man, I appreciate you. Dad, Kadre, give us something that could help a father as we celebrate Father's Day and close out.
I think Solly said the most important thing, man, and I've said it to you a couple of times. I had to sit down and humble myself, and sometimes I had to apologize for things that didn't mean a lot to me at the time, but I know the effect it had on you or your sister or your mother. I had to come back and man up to those things, and then once I recognize that, then I can start over. But if I just buried them in the sand without dealing with it, we will not be who we are today. And the love we share would not be what it is. So, Solly, I thank you for your journey, man. And it hit on some things even in my journey. You know, Ty and I, we talk a lot.
Yeah.
And he knows that I believe that sometimes we have to, in order to build a good relationship, we must first look at our intent. What's your personal intent? What's my relationship with Tyrone? It's built on time, and it's built on me recognizing that everything I did was not perfect.
Yeah.
But it means that my goal to be better, I share with him often.
Yeah.
And it brings us strength. And I say that to all men. Look at yourself first. You're trying to build a relationship with somebody. Look at the things that you did not like.
Yeah.
And try to make them better for your children. And sometimes it's about time.
Yeah.
It's about time, like Kadre said. And listening and understanding. Thank you, son.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Dad. Appreciate you being on. Kadre, I want to give you the final word. And in so doing, we won't have time to get all the way into it. But I do know even there's a significance as relates to even the due dates for your twins. If you would just close us out with something that I think would just in short, sort of encapsulate something you like to share. I just want to celebrate you, man, your first Father's Day. But whatever's on your heart, man, I want to just give you the floor just to close us out briefly, man, but just powerfully with whatever's on your heart.
All right. I would say for a son who wants to connect with their father, just to be able to embrace the growing pains. Like, it may not be easy to connect or to reconnect, but there's beauty in the struggle of wanting something that's worth having. You know, and sometimes when things is growing, it's not always comfortable. I think about my wife when she was pregnant, as her body changed and as my kids, my twins, grew inside of her. She experienced growing pains inside her stomach. And at times, you know, it was hard for her. And I had to, you know, come to her aid many times or watch her just be in pain. But I saw that there was beauty in that pain, you know, and there is beauty in a relationship between a father and a son that is worth having. So I would say embrace the growing pains. It may be rough. It may be tough. It may not go the way you plan. You may want to walk away, but you got to stay to the wicket, and the runs will come. Yeah. The significance of my twins appear to be born on August 9th, which was the day my little brother had passed about 12 years ago now. It's been a long time. Tomorrow is my first Father's Day. And I think 12 years ago, I didn't even want to be alive. I didn't even want to be her. I was tired of living. I was like, yo, God, take me now. I don't want nothing. Well, let me show my little brother a new way of life. And if you don't want to let me do that, you got to give me a family. At this point in time in my life, I didn't even have a girlfriend, but I'm asking for a family.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't ask for a kid. I asked for a family. You know, it wasn't until about, 11 years later that he got me a bride. So he had to find me a girlfriend. He had to find me a bride. You know, he had to find somebody who he felt was suitable for me, because that's what I asked for. But also I asked him to give me a family. But it's one thing when you ask your father for something and you never have to go back and ask him for it again. Now, this is about 11 years later. I'm telling you, he might want a family. I'm watching people have kids all around me. I'm saying, all right, boy, like, that's my time. And then my wife surprised me on Christmas of 2019 that we was having kids. A month later, it wasn't not just one kid, but it was two. But I want to be able to say this: too much is given, too much is given, much is required. So I know that, I have been chosen for a time like this to be a father. I'm excited to be a father. They will celebrate me tomorrow for the very, very first time. But God has a way of turning things around. So I am grateful for my twins, that he has blessed me with. And you ask, what would success look like? Success will look like that my kids will say, I have the best daddy in the world. I may not be perfect. I'm going to fall short, but I'm going to be the best daddy in the world. And then my wife said that she married the best husband in the world. And that is success for me. So I like to say happy Father's Day to all the men that are watching. I like to say stay to the wicked, the runs will come. I like to say like, hey, if you're in front of the wicket, just keep batting. Small runs, big runs, sixes, fours, to the boundaries. And do your best, man.
Kadri, I know it's your first Father's Day, brother. But I'm going to ask, man, that you just have a word of prayer for fathers, if you would, man, to close us out. And then we're going to share this special video for you to say Happy Father's Day to every single father. Again, we want to say thank you to Burn News. Thank you to each of our panelists. Stan Douglas, Dad, I love you like life. Thank you, Sully. Respect, my brother. Uncal, big up every time.
That's you. You
Harry
know that.
Dean, Happy Father's Day to you. Kadri, respect and love, my brother. To Randall and Clay Smith, to your family, and to every father that's watching, we're so honored to be able to spend this time with you, and we believe in you, we love you, and happy Father's Day. Kadri, would you pray for us? And I would invite everyone to, again, not just watch this video, but to also go and download it on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and go and check out E-Money Extreme TV. Follow the young brother, subscribe to his channel. He's trying to do big things to inspire the world as well. Kadri, would you pray for us? And then we'll share the song in closing. Thank you again, and happy Father's Day. God bless you.
Dear Heavenly and gracious Father, we just want to take this time just to pause to acknowledge you for being good to us, for giving us fathers, for giving us mothers, for giving us people to help guide, protect, nurture, love us, and to lead us and to teach us. God, we pray that you will be able to rekindle relationships that need to be rekindled, that you will be able to place people in people's lives to help build up the men of Bermuda and the men around the world, so that the fathers can be proud of their sons and the sons can be proud of their dads. God, we thank you for what you done with your son. You allowed him to come down to earth and to die for us to make it possible. So I just want to say thank you, dear God, for what you have done, what you will do. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Happy Father's Day, gentlemen. God bless you.
I want to know what day it is. Tell me what day it is. I want to know what day it is. Can you tell me what day it is? Are you singing, brother? Happy Father's Day. 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 Happy Father's Day.